Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. It's a upload today, a recorded video. We hope you don't mind. Please smash the like button for us. Hit the subscribe. Notification button should be squeezed and comments should be dropped. I'm here with Jonny H. Before we get into all of your latest Saturday, the 31st of January transfer news, views and clues, we have also got to mention that we are sponsored by OK Jersey. And until tomorrow, you can get 15% off all of your athleisure wear using code FINC15. So search for OK Jersey, find what you're looking for, and then code FINC15. After that, it goes back to 8% off traditional code FINC. Big up to them for the sponsorship. Jonny, how are you?
I'm okay, mate. Okay. Sorry about the upload today. Been a busy old day. But been watching a couple of the games. There's quite a bit of transfer news. Some has substance, like the Strand Larson deal, and others probably not so sure whether they are or they aren't. So where should we go? I mean, the one that's fanciful is the one with Duran being in the links, doing the rounds. He's currently on loan at Fenerbahce from Al Nassr. He's hardly scored a goal there, Sean. He seems to be being offered to all and sundry in the Premier League. Yeah. He's still really young. He's 22 years of age, but somehow Al Ittihad spent 70 odd million euros on him. Didn't really settle, didn't really do it there. And he's gone to Fenerbahce. Begs the question, if you're not doing it at Fenerbahce, can you really do it in the Premier League? And some would answer, well, yeah. I mean, he came on as a substitute for Aston Villa and was scoring goals quite regularly from the bench. Villa fans were a bit upset when he was sold. What are you making of it?
Yeah, I'm just worried more about what was the motivation for him to go to Saudi so young. Is he just one of these people that are just sort of, he's going to constantly move around the traps throughout his career and look for chase money, look for next opportunities. And when he's not happy, when it doesn't immediately work out, he wants to go somewhere else. It appears like he's not very happy in Turkey. Clearly, he wasn't particularly happy in Saudi. And according to all these reports, he's being linked with literally all in sundry. He has been linked with Everton today. He's being linked with Newcastle, with Tottenham,
Leeds.
There's lots and lots of teams that are looking at him. Obviously, look, he's a very talented player, and like you say, he did okay when he started off his career in the Premier League last year or the year before, rather. And I think that he is, he's someone that I think can offer some value. But I personally wouldn't take him on a permanent yet. I think you need to give him get a loan deal. I don't know about the whole tax implication thing; it's all very confusing, but it looks like he might be a name to watch over the next 48 hours. There is, at the time of recording, guys, there is literally 49 hours of the window left. 7 p.m. Monday night UK time it closes. It's currently 6:05. And for what it's worth, we've just seen Arsenal in the Premier League have a relatively comfortable game against Leeds, getting the 3 points. And of course, Chelsea are currently dropping points, all three of them.
As you knew.
Relegation rivals of Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham United, mate. As it stands, West Ham are 5 points behind us. Squeaky bum time.
Squeaky bum time. Thanks very much to Rossinia, the PE teacher, for resting half of his squad. Esteval didn't play today because he's got some family thing. We saw Saka injured his hamstring before the kickoff, but in came Noni as if didn't make any difference. I mean, let's be honest. Well. Saka's hardly done much this season. Just quickly on John Duran, I think it's a big upside punt. If you're looking to make a punt at 22 years of age and you can get a deal there, a loan with a cheaper option, it could be an upside punt. If you could pick him up for
what would the option be? What are you saying? What's the price point?
35 mil.
So you reckon Saudi are going to half their money?
Listen, one wonders what the deal was all about in the first place, right? Because was he ever worth 70 million? No. Absolutely not, right? Not. Yeah, so 100%. Maybe 35 million, an option with the 35 million it could be a big upside punt if he turns around to be, a good player. He did show some good skills and stuff. So we'll have to see.
It's currently Chelsea 0, West Ham 2, by the way, as we're watching. An unbelievable goal from I think it was Somerville. I think it's Somerville who's just scored an absolute goal from an absolute belter from outside the box.
At least,
what are we doing here?
At least as a Spurs fan, listen. At least as a Spurs fan, when Wilson scores a last-minute goal, well, they didn't deserve the win, but they got it right at the last minute. I feel a little bit better the fact that they've beaten Chelsea away from home.
We were laughing about the idea of signing Somerville 2 weeks ago, and look what he's done. He might be offside. Is it offside? It could be offside there. We'll flag it back. Anyway, let's get on with the stories. So John Duran, look, 35 million quid. Listen, I think it's if a loan with an option, no obligation, 100%. I'd take it. It's certainly something that I think he can do a little bit in the Tottenham team. I also think that Everton are scrounging around trying to find something as well. They're looking for everyone. Another name that's coming up. I don't think this one will be of interest to Tottenham fans, but Chelsea's Tariq George is also being linked to 2 or 3 teams in the Premier League this morning.
He was going to Sunderland, wasn't he? If you remember, he was going to Sunderland, and then the deal was called off due to the injury to Liam Delap.
That's right.
I think he sort of begrudges that, and now he's looking for a move. I don't think he's the level that Spurs need.
No, I don't think so either. But for what it's worth, the stories here are just saying Fabrizio Romano are saying that Everton have made a formal loan bid for the Chelsea winger. Obviously, Sky Sports have been talking about Everton and Sunderland are interested in signing him on deadline day. I think even Fulham had discussions and various other suitors, but they were unsuccessful in trying to prize George away from Stamford Bridge. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Clearly, there's still options here. There's still options on the table for Premier League clubs to be doing some business into tomorrow. Shall we move on to Jeremy Jacquet? Johnny.
Yeah, Chelsea desperate for this signing. As you can see, if they're 1 or 2-0 down, they got problems in the defence. Chalobah's doing well, but they've got a lot of injuries despite owning half of Europe's young talent, centre-back talent. I think the likelihood is, Sean, that they will offer one of the players they've got in storage to Rennes as part of the deal to sort of appease it. Although Liverpool are also really interested in Jeremy Jacquet, I think that Chelsea have got that balance between offering them the money and a player to fill the gap for Rennes as well. I think they'll end up paying over the odds. But listen, he's a good player. There's no two ways about it. Thoughts?
Yeah, listen, I think Jacquet is 100% going to end up being in the Premier League next season, whether it happens tomorrow or whether it happens in the summer, whether it's to Chelsea or whether it's to Liverpool. Liverpool look very much like they're interested in him. Same could be said for Joel Ordonez of Club Bruges, another centre-back that is very highly coveted by the top teams in the Premier League. And lastly, the other centre-back story, mate, and again, I put all 3 of these on different priority lists, different standards. But Giorgio Scalvini of Atalanta, a player that was linked with Tottenham in the summer. Well, he is also of interest to Premier League teams. Liverpool are looking at him again. So on Newcastle, the player's apparently valued at around 50 million euros. But it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get it done in time. I think they were interested in doing something earlier on, but Scalvini is, I think he's on the recovery from his fitness issues. So, what's your thoughts on Scalvini and on Ordonez, mate?
Yeah, 2 good players. I think we can add in as well Stankovic probably in the summer as well. Another top player at Club Bruges. Premier League clubs are looking at him, although Inter Milan have got, a sort of a buyback there. I think there's a deal that Club Bruges could possibly do a deal and give some of the profit back to Inter Milan. He's one. I think all 4, I think 3, including Jacquet, will be 4. I think 2 or 3 of them will end up in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think so. There's a big demand for centre-backs right now, Sean. Big holes. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, there's Kalulu at. I think Stankovic is more of a midfielder, though, isn't he, at Bruges? But The other three, though, definitely are highly sought after. Also, that Kalulu of Juventus as well is another one that might end up coming to the Premier League. It's going to be a lot of Premier League suitors for a lot of these teams, mate. But I don't know how many of them are going to get done in the next 24 hours or 48 hours. I think those sorts of deals for big money, some of those will go for. Require probably a little bit more planning and a little bit less scrapping around for last minute.
I mean, if you're in the Champions League or you're in the Italian league looking to get into the top four or what have you, you're not going to give up your main players. We saw the link today with two links there, one with Curtis Jones for Liverpool and the other one with David Fratesi, alone with an option from Inter to Forest. Now, that one this morning looked like it was quite well advanced, Sean. Yeah. Are they going to get knocked back like they're going to get knocked back from Mateta?
Well, this seems to be a little bit of cop blocking going on, or like it's like sort of chain selling. You know, obviously Tottenham were interested in Andy Robertson from Liverpool, then couldn't get that done because they needed to get back their guy Tsimikas, and then Roma said, "Well, we can't find anybody to come in." It looks the same thing with this story of Fratesi and Curtis Jones, right? Inter want Curtis Jones. Liverpool are saying no, and therefore Fratesi at the moment is going to be difficult for him to go and come to Forest unless Inter can find a replacement. And if Curtis Jones isn't available, this seems to be the story of the window, mate. All I'm hearing about is lots of intentions, lots of ambitions, lots of approaches, lots of monitoring, all this stuff. But ultimately, the answer seems to be unavailability. Teams are just not willing to sell in January. It's always a more difficult window, but this window, it just feels like there's a lot more unavailable answers for one reason or another. Injuries, the cost of replacements, the time, the fact that the Champions League ran an extra couple of days later because of the calendar year when the midweek fell for game week 8. All of these things. Listen, I'll be entirely honest. I don't know why the January window has to finish on the 31st of January. If we're going to move this Champions League thing to the league phase, and this is here to stay, which I hope it will be, because it's a wonderful rejigged version of the competition. I don't know why they can't extend the window unless there's some sort of employment law reason behind it.
Second week of Feb, maybe, or first week.
Yeah, something like that, because there's just not enough time for teams to get things done after the final week of the Champions League and the Europa League, but no one wants to do anything before that final game because they don't know where they're going to be. Very few teams have got their sort of final position resolved before game week 8. So it's it just makes it more difficult. So I think they need to look at that, to be honest.
Curtis Jones one's interesting because very, very talented. Certainly believes in his own ability. Apparently been very vocal after games, Sean, about not getting game time, calling out players, really? For a young player. And, if you're not going to, I don't know whether it's like, if you're not going to play me, then sell me. Because, I believe I'm better than what's on, he's got a lot of competition in front of him, but he believes in his own ability. And I think he's one of, Britain's one of the most talented players in the midfield. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But like you say, I don't think Liverpool are going to want to let him go. They might have to let him go by the summer, but a difficult one now. Another one linked to Spurs.
Quickly on that one. The only way that the way that you resolve these things is by obviously doing something crazy, like saying, how much is it going to take for you to just to let him go now? And if however much Curtis Jones is valued, I don't know what he is, 30, 40 million. I've got no idea.
Yeah.
Whatever that price is, is Inter Milan the sort of team? Do they have the sort of financial wherewithal to be able to say, we'll sell Fratesi because we value Curtis Jones more, but we'll pay an extra 8 million, 10 million. And if so, first of all, would they do it? And second of all, would that be enough for Liverpool to go, could really do without selling him? But actually 50 million quid at that point, at that price point, it's, we're getting to the point now where it's difficult to turn down.
We spent a lot of money in the summer, Sean. And they need to spend a lot of money again on finding a defence.
Yeah.
Because right now it's got a lot of holes in it. And
their Champions League positions, I don't think, are necessarily safe. I think that the league is so, in the Premier League, is so tight that at the moment, I don't know I know who the top 3 are going to be, but I honestly don't know who's going to be 4th and 5th. And it's going to be, I'd be surprised
if 5th. It's the top 5, isn't it? It's definitely the top 5.
But I think that, yes, Liverpool might be part of the 4th or 5th in the league. Maybe not. United are putting up a bit of a shout for that. There's other teams as well that could go on a run late, and it's so tight. So just the point being that Liverpool's revenue generation isn't necessarily guaranteed to come from the Champions League spots from the league this year.
Correct. Yeah.
And so therefore, maybe they might need to look at the proposition of selling a player they don't really want to sell if the money's just too good to turn down. So it'd be an interesting last 48 hours. That's one to watch for sure, Johnny.
And listen, look, Spurs been rumoured to try and do a deal or a big deal. Brahim Diaz, Sean, he's not getting massive game time at Real Madrid. He's obviously talented. He didn't really set my world alight when I saw him at AFCON. But
I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good at AFCON. But obviously, he had that whole debacle in the final. That was ridiculous. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I still don't know what happened there. Did they agree for him to chip it down the middle to make it? I don't know what happened. The whole thing looked a little bit suspicious to me, didn't it? To you?
Well, it did a bit, but he could be the sort of. I mean, listen, he's not popular in Morocco. Let's put it like that.
Yeah. Imagine if he got like a speaking to saying, "Listen, if you score that goal, you're going to have problems from trying to leave the stadium from some people that maybe are part of the Senegalese outfit, and if you miss the penalty, you might have some problems from your compatriots in the Moroccan outfit." So,
or did the Moroccans, or were there a considerable amount of Moroccans who had a bet on it on the?
Who knows? Or it could have just been that he thought he was going to be cheeky and score the winner via a Panenka, and it just.
It's a loan deal. It's a loan deal, Sean. It's a possible loan deal. I mean, I would be more excited about Brahim Diaz on a loan with an option than signing Raheem Sterling on a loan.
Oh, I'd take Brahim Diaz on a permanent. I think he's quality. Yeah. I really like him. I think he's very, very good.
What sort of money you reckon if he was coming?
I honestly don't know. I'm not even sure what he's valued at on transfer market. Let's have a look. Is it 40 million quid or something?
I would have thought it's 40. It's got to be around 40 million, surely.
Transfer market has him valued at 35 million euros. So add an extra 10 million to that, 45 million, something like that.
Listen, if he's good enough to go to Real Madrid and get some minutes, I'm sure he's good enough to improve our squad.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, there's a player that I sort of came across when I was doing my usual half an hour looking through Y-Scout and that this morning. I don't know why there's no links to this guy. I think he looks like an absolute baller. He's an ex-Barcelona player, currently plying his trade at Real Betis. He played against Tottenham. Was it the summer before last in the pre-season when we played against Barcelona? And he played with Yamin Lamau. His name is Eza Abda. Which is like a shortened version of his real name, which is Abda Ezel Zuli, right? He's a winger.
Saying that when you've had a couple.
Yeah, exactly. He's a winger that plays off the left-hand side, but can also play off the right-hand side. He's 23, 24, maybe 24 years old now. Looks an absolute fantastic player, right? Can cut the ball. He's got absolute whips on his with his right foot. Takes players on. He's got lovely technique with his cadence of step overs. Can play on both sides, and I think he looks like he's strong enough to be able to handle the hustle and bustle of the Premier League. Not a particularly tall guy, but very, very fast as well. Valued at about 26 million euros according to Transfer Market. So again, make that 30 million quid just for argument's sake. I think there's a solution there. And he's the sort of profile that I don't think you would walk into the likes of Manchester City or Chelsea or Arsenal that are going to gazump you on their draw. And if Tottenham are really scrambling for a forward, and we are reassured every day that, that's what they're working every single second that they can, trying to figure something out. I think there's a profile there that Tottenham could be looking at. I'm not saying that we're close to him or anything. I'm just saying that there's an option there that I think could solve a lot of problems. But yeah, in terms of Brahim Diaz, mate, I'd take him all day long at Tottenham. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know what they're working on tirelessly, morning, noon, and night at the moment. Maybe they're still in the pub. I don't know, but they don't seem to be. There's no links. I mean, I don't know what sort of cover of darkness they're working under, because it's very difficult. Even if the player is of interest to the club, it's very often that the agent sneaks out for a third party the news to try and gather some other, maybe interest to push his client's interest.
Yeah.
West Ham, West Ham are doing big business. The two strikers are up front today. They're two new signings. And they're obviously first game together today, but they're still looking for another player. And West Ham have made a bid for Southampton defender Taylor Harwood-Bellis, and expected to be rejected for the first bid, but they're expecting to come back and
have a second crack at the whip.
Have a second crack, although that they're saying that they don't want to sell him before the transfer window. Listen, one that is getting done, Sean, and it's this Strand Larsen. It looks like it's going to go through now eventually after a couple of stumbling blocks.
Yeah.
50...
I'm not sure what the hold up was. There was some contractual finicky stuff, right? Someone wanted a clause inserted. At least these guys are paying attention to the clauses, mate, because you know what we're used to at our end. Our donuts get the clauses they put in.
But tell me something. I mean, 80 million on Brennan Johnson and Strand Larsen. Is that going to be enough to avoid Crystal Palace being sucked into a relegation fight now? And Leeds. Who is the most vulnerable? I mean, obviously, we're now in it. You know,
100%
with
it's half time at Stamford Bridge at the time of recording. It's 2-0 to West Ham. They're 5 points off of us. They're 3 points off of. In fact, let me say
3 points off of Leeds.
Let me just double check after that. Let me get the latest.
I heard the Arsenal fans singing, "You're going down with the Tottenham." To the Leeds fans.
Yeah, so West Ham, as it stands, will be on 23 points. Forest yet to play. Got Palace tomorrow. They're on 25 points. Then Leeds, who have played, on 26 points. Palace, who have Forest tomorrow, on 28 points. And Tottenham, who are yet to play as well, on 20
playing points. City. You know what's interesting? Forest have got two massive games. They've got the game against Palace tomorrow.
Mm.
And then next week they've got Leeds.
Yeah. Yeah, fascinating 6 pointers, mate. Fascinating 6 pointers.
I mean, they're definitely games.
I'm starting to panic, mate. I'm starting to panic. This begs the question again. Those people, those 15% of people that said that they want Tottenham to lose to Manchester City because they hate Arsenal, do you still feel the same way today, given that West Ham are now 5 points away? Some of them will. And it's a real head scratcher for me. You know,
better reevaluate, guys. Better reevaluate because Bournemouth won again today. Wolves have resigned themselves to going down. That's why they got the money for Strand Larsen. Surprised they didn't try and sell Yao Gomez now while they could get big money, maybe get a premium price as it's January window. They're going down anyway, and they're going to have the nice little war chest to come back up next season with the parachute payments and the players that they've sold. But I mean, for me, they could well be in trouble. Palace, I think they could well get sucked into it. I thought Leeds were very tame, very timid today. I was quite surprised. They just didn't do anything.
They tried to get going in the second half, but
a bit, but
not enough. Not enough.
No, they didn't have enough.
You think Jose Sarr's going to go to Forest, mate? The goalkeeper?
Yeah, I think he will. I think
Forest have made first contact with Wolves regarding Sarr. He's a good goalkeeper, Jose Sarr. I don't not rate him at all. And just quickly, mate, the other story I wanted to ask you about was, by the way, Stefan Ortega, City backup. He's also being linked with Forest. So Forest clearly looking for a replacement for their, is it Victor John or John Victor? I forget.
What about Kinski? What about these links of Kinski going to West Ham and Johnson coming to Spurs? What?
Yeah, I hope that's not true anymore. I don't want to see us doing anything to help out West Ham for the last.
That's just madness. And the other one Forest are trying to do are considering make a late move for Everton winger Dwight McNeil.
Dwight McNeil, interesting. Yeah, he's another one. Dwight McNeil is not a bad player. He's a sort of steady Eddie, not an issue. But if his name was something a little bit more sexy, people would probably rate him higher. He's got a very, he's got like an accountant's name, isn't he, or like a law firm?
Yeah, he has. Here's a story for you, Sean. Just a quickie, right? I want to have a moment's silence for these two. Salah and Haaland are among the UK's biggest taxpayers. Premier League stars Mo Salah and Erling Haaland are among the UK's 100 biggest taxpayers, according to the Sunday Times tax list. Manchester City striker Haaland, who is earning around 500 grand a week, plus a 10 million worth of bonuses per year, is the 72nd biggest taxpayer in the UK, paying 16.9 million in tax each year. While Liverpool's Mo...
He's what number?
72nd. biggest taxpayer in the country.
Do you know what? That is he's surprisingly high up that list at 17. I would have thought that there would have been at least a couple of hundred people that are making, hundreds of millions of pounds and then
Tax
having to
avoidance, Sean.
Yeah,
of course, offshore.
Of course.
You know,
but I'm surprised that those footballers can't do the same. I'm sure they all get paid through a company, right? Because they have to pay their agents, they have to pay their own, whatever, all the costs that they have for their various things. So I would imagine that those things are all put through company accounts. But if they're genuinely paying that tax, then
Well, also Salah,
Salah,
who is slumped. Poor old Salah, who's slumped to 81st on the list. He must be upset about that. Earns 400 grand a week, 400 grand a week plus 10 million a year in bonuses. Also, is 81st, paying a whopping 14.5 million pound in tax. What I would say is businesses, they put the expenses through. What do you put through as the expenses of footballer? Your masseuse.
Is there actually a list that random people can access?
Sunday Times. It's not.
How does the Sunday Times know who pays the most tax? Do they have access to the HMR?
Well, they must. Maybe they're involved in the tax thing. But I just thought it was quite an interesting little number, that one.
It's also the interesting, the sort of moral hazard there. Would you like to be someone who appears on that list? On the one hand, yes, you would. On the one hand, you would, because you want to earn enough money to be paying that much tax. But on the other hand, if you're paying that much tax, Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Listen, how much tax can you write off as an individual? Whereas as a company, you've got loads of write-off, you've got loads of expenses, you can whittle the massive tax bill. When you look at the big corporations like Amazon and whatever, they don't even pay any tax. They don't pay bugger all tax.
I'm sure if there was the top 100 taxpayers of every self-employed plumber or bricklayer out there, they'd all be paying exactly the same, £12,550, whatever the actual...
Correct.
Anyway, this is the last story for us. We've been going quite a long time, Johnny.
Yeah,
the last story for us is Marcus Rashford. Well, that's this last story I've got for you. Marcus Rashford, apparently Jason Burt of the Daily Telegraph's chief football correspondent, stated that Carrick would like his former teammate, Marcus Rashford, to return if Barcelona do not use their option to buy him. This would occur at the end of the season and after a potential permanent appointment for Carrick. So first of all, Carrick's got to do well enough to get the job, get the gig. And then Barcelona have to also say, we're not going to take him up on it. Could you see Marcus Rashford taking orders from his ex-teammate?
No. Why would he come back only to find out that Carrick's been booted out by Ratcliffe and you got another numpty like Amorim?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
I got Amorim wrong. I thought Amorim would do well, did really well at Sporting Lisbon. But as we've seen with so many managers coming from success at another club, whether it's overseas at Sporting, playing in the Champions League and all the rest of it, coming to the Premier League, it's a different ball game. It's a different type of football, you know?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Think it's about it, Shawnee?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, we will. I've got to stop saying 100%. I say it 100% too often. Guys, let's. We'll leave it there. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Please do smash the like, hit the subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow morning early. I think 11:45 for a pre-Tottenham transfer show. Let's hope that the market picks up, because it's been an absolute bore fest for the most part this January. Appreciate you, Johnny.
See you soon, guys. Bye.